The storm that wasn't natural. What's really behind the sky turning red? The sky was on fire. Red. Blood red. It wasn't sunset. It wasn't pollution. It was something else. Something strange. Something unnatural. In the past few years, strange red skies have appeared worldwide, from China's sprawling cities to the dense forests of Brazil, and even over small towns in the United States. The heavens have turned an eerie crimson. Why? What could cause such a shocking transformation? Official explanations claim it's dust particles, or pollution, or natural weather phenomena. But those answers don't satisfy everyone. Not the witnesses who stared in disbelief. Not the scientists who scratched their heads. Could this be a sign, a message, a warning? What if these blood-red skies are not natural at all? What if they are the first visible proof of a technology far beyond human understanding? Technology that can manipulate the very atmosphere itself. Technology possibly controlled by beings not from this earth. This is not science fiction. This is not a wild fantasy. This is what some experts, witnesses, and even government documents hint at. Could extraterrestrials be tampering with Earth's weather? Could alien technology be behind the storms, the floods, and the fires that plague our planet? Strange skies around the world, real cases, real witnesses. In November 2022, residents in several provinces in China witnessed an unsettling sight. The sky turned bright red in the middle of the day. People took photos and videos. Social media exploded. Some called it apocalyptic. Others feared it was a sign of doom. But meteorologists said it was dust from desert storms. Then, just months later, Brazil experienced something similar. The sky glowed deep red, casting an unnatural hue over entire cities. People described the experience as terrifying, otherworldly. Still, official statements blamed pollution and wildfires. In 2023, a small town in the U.S. Southwest had the same phenomenon. The sky burned red at dusk, lasting for hours. Locals were puzzled. The nearest wildfire was hundreds of miles away. There were no dust storms, no logical explanation. What connects these events? Why did the same unusual sky happen across continents, thousands of miles apart, within such a short time frame? Could weather manipulation technology explain this? Humans have been trying to control the weather for decades. From cloud seeding to military experiments, we know it's possible to influence rain or drought. But the red sky, that's something else? Some experts believe that the color changes in the sky could be caused by advanced technology manipulating atmospheric particles. But who has this technology? The U.S. military's HAARP facility in Alaska is one example often cited. Officially, HAARP studies the ionosphere, but many conspiracy theorists believe it can control weather, cause earthquakes, or disrupt communications. Is it just a military project gone wrong, or is it part of something bigger? The alien angle. Are extraterrestrials behind it? For decades, UFO sightings and alien encounters have been reported near strange weather events. The infamous Phoenix lights in 1997 showed huge, silent crafts hovering in the night sky right before a sudden heatwave. Witnesses described glowing orbs and massive shadowy shapes moving effortlessly through the clouds. Documents leaked by the Pentagon mention unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, objects with flight capabilities far beyond human technology. Some scientists speculate these could be alien crafts capable of controlling weather to suit their needs. Could these red skies be evidence of alien technology in action? Are extraterrestrials experimenting with or even weaponizing Earth's weather? The emotional impact. What would you feel? Imagine looking up one day and seeing the sky bleed red. Not at sunset, but at noon. Not just for a few minutes, but for hours. Fear, panic, wonder, curiosity. If this is alien technology, what does that mean for us? Are we safe? Are we being watched? Or worse, manipulated? Many people live in denial, refusing to accept that something beyond human control could influence their lives so deeply. But what if denial is the biggest danger? What are governments saying? What are they hiding? Governments worldwide have a long history of secrecy about UFOs and weather manipulation. From Project Blue Book in the 1950s to the latest UAP reports by the Pentagon, official information is limited and often contradictory. Many whistleblowers and insiders claim that authorities know far more than they admit. If aliens can control weather, and if the military has access to such technology, why keep it secret? Is it to prevent mass panic, or to hide a much larger truth? What if the red sky is just the beginning? Red skies could be just the surface sign of deeper changes. Climate anomalies, strange storms, and unusual atmospheric patterns are becoming more frequent. Could this be the first visible sign of a new era? An era where alien influence shapes our planet's future? Or an era where human technology catches up with alien tech with consequences we don't yet understand? So, what do you think? Is the red sky a natural phenomenon, or is it a warning signal? Could this be proof of extraterrestrial weather control? Or is it simply a coincidence? The sky holds many secrets. Maybe it's time we start looking up with new eyes. Operation Popeye and HAARP, earthquake and rain as military weapons. Rain as a weapon. Lightning controlled by satellites. Earthquakes triggered by machines. It sounds like science fiction, but history and declassified documents tell a different story. Not only is weather warfare real, it may have started decades ago. What if Earth's atmosphere is already a battlefield? What if humans discovered the secret long ago and used it? Let's go back to Vietnam, to the 1960s, to the first officially acknowledged weather manipulation mission in modern history. It was called Operation Popeye. Operation Popeye, making the rain fall on purpose. The Vietnam War was not just a battle of bullets and bombs. It was also a battle for time, for roads, for weather. In 1967, the United States military launched a highly classified project. Its goal: to extend the monsoon season in Southeast Asia, to flood enemy supply routes, to create artificial rain using chemical cloud seeding. Their motto was chilling: make mud, not war. Using planes loaded with silver iodide, the U.S. sprayed clouds over the Ho Chi Minh Trail. It worked. Rainfall increased. Roads were washed, enemy movement slowed. This wasn't a conspiracy theory. This was real, confirmed by declassified Pentagon documents in 1974. Even Secretary of Defense Melvin Laird admitted to the program's existence. The world was stunned, whether something sacred and touchable had been weaponized. But that was only the beginning. HAARP, the world's most dangerous machine, thousands of miles away, in the frozen wilderness of Gakona, Alaska, a strange facility sits in science. Fences, radar dishes, gigantic antenna arrays stretching across 30 acres. This is HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. Officially, HAARP is a research station. Its mission: to study the ionosphere, the electrically charged part of Earth's upper atmosphere. But to many, it's something far more sinister. Some believe HAARP is a weather control weapon, a machine that can cause droughts, hurricanes, even earthquakes. Is that possible? How HAARP might work? HAARP sends high-frequency radio waves into the ionosphere. These waves heat up a targeted section of the upper atmosphere. In theory, this could create changes in weather patterns, electromagnetic fields, and even earthquake zones. Sounds like fantasy. Consider this. In 2010, Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez publicly accused HAARP of causing the Haiti earthquake. Was it political posturing or something more? In 2011, shortly before the Fukushima disaster in Japan, amateur weather watchers noticed strange ring patterns over the Pacific. Some claimed these were HAARP signatures. Coincidence? Or cause? Government denial? Or strategic silence? The U.S. government denies that HAARP has any weapon capabilities. They say it's just for academic research. But many scientists and researchers aren't so sure. Dr. Nick Begich, co-author of Angels Don't Play This HAARP, says, "This is not science fiction. It's science fact. HAARP is capable of affecting the weather globally. Why would a peaceful research station need billions of watts of power? Why was it originally funded by the Department of Defense? And why are there similar ionospheric heaters being quietly built in Norway, Russia, and China? Are world powers preparing for a new kind of warfare? The ethics of weather war. Let's ask something simple. If you could cause a storm in enemy territory, if you could bring rain to one country while creating drought in another, would you do it? Would your government? With climate disasters rising, floods, fires, hurricanes, how can we be sure what's natural and what's not? Who decides when nature becomes a weapon? UFOs, HAARP, and the alien question. Let's go deeper. What if the technology used in Operation Popeye or HAARP wasn't human in origin? What if, decades ago, alien crafts crash-landed like in Roswell, 1947, and governments secretly began reverse engineering them? That's what Bob Lazar, a former government scientist, claimed. He said he worked at Area 51, handling non-human propulsion systems. Could the power to manipulate gravity extend to manipulating weather? HAARP uses electromagnetic fields. So, many reported UFO sightings, and in many cases, strange lights in the sky like those over Phoenix in 1997 are followed by sudden, unusual weather. Coincidence? Or contact? Real events, real patterns. Look at the timeline. 1967. Operation Popeye proves artificial rain is possible. 1993. HAARP begins operation quietly, without much press. 2004 to 2024. Massive global weather anomalies rise: super typhoons, polar vortexes, droughts, floods. Multiple sightings of UAPs, UFOs before or during these events. Classified UAP reports acknowledge objects that defy known technology. Is someone or something playing God with the planet's climate? What if it's not just military? What if governments aren't the only ones with weather control? What if non-human intelligence, whether alien or ancient, has been doing this for centuries? Many ancient texts describe gods who could summon storms, lightning, or floods at will, from Zeus to Indra to Quetzalcoatl. Are these myths? Or misinterpreted records of extraterrestrial influence? Even the Bible speaks of divine storms and signs in the heavens. But what if these miracles were the actions of beings with technology far beyond our own? How would you feel if tomorrow you learned that hurricanes were engineered, that droughts were political, that floods were weapons? Would you feel angry, powerless, awakened? Would you demand the truth or try to forget it? The idea that our skies are being manipulated is terrifying, because it means we've lost control. Because it means someone or something else now controls the balance of life on Earth. Why it matters now. With climate change threatening global stability, with natural disasters increasing every year, with governments still hiding what they know about UFOs and UAPs, the timing couldn't be more critical. If weather can be manipulated, then every disaster, every storm is suspect. If governments have this power, why not use it for peace? And if aliens are involved, are we pawns in a much bigger game? So, is the storm natural or engineered? That is the question. From Operation Popeye's rain bombs to HAARP's high-frequency waves, from ancient alien myths to modern Pentagon secrets, one truth remains: weather is power, and power, in the wrong hands, human or alien, can change the world forever. Roswell to chemtrails. Is weather the new battlefield for UFO tech? It began with a crash, a loud explosion, a mysterious object falling from the sky. Roswell, New Mexico, 1947. The event that would change everything. But not the way you think. What if Roswell wasn't just about aliens? What if it was about technology? Technology so advanced it could change the weather. The Roswell incident, more than a UFO. You've heard the story. A rancher discovers strange debris, metal that bends but doesn't break, symbols no one can read. Officials arrive. Cover stories multiply. Weather balloon. Then not a weather balloon. Then silence. But years later, military insiders came forward. What they described was not from Earth. A crash craft, non-human bodies, and a frantic attempt to understand what had fallen into their hands. The real treasure wasn't the aliens. It was the technology, reverse engineering the sky. After Roswell, everything changed. Military budgets ballooned. Secret programs exploded. By the 1950s, Area 51 was operating at full speed. By the 1960s, NASA had gone from launching fruit flies to putting men on the moon. But what if space wasn't the only frontier they were exploring? What if they were using UFO tech to unlock the power of Earth's atmosphere? Weather is energy. Storms are power. Control them, and you control entire regions without firing a single bullet. Sound familiar? That's where the story of chemtrails begins. Chemtrails, just a conspiracy or a cloaked reality. Look up. You see a plane. Behind it, a trail. Sometimes it disappears quickly. Other times it lingers, forms lines, grids, a web across the sky. Some say it's harmless condensation contrails, but others, they believe these are chemtrails to liberate chemical dispersals by unknown forces. For what purpose? Climate control, weather manipulation, population experiments, or worse, connecting Roswell to chemtrails. Here's the theory. The UFO tech recovered at Roswell was reverse engineered. Over decades, governments or secret groups within them developed advanced atmospheric manipulation systems. But these systems couldn't be powered from space. They needed aerial platforms, aircraft, satellites, blimps. So they began spraying, not randomly, but with a purpose: to ionize the air, to increase conductivity, to reshape the weather from the sky down. And when people started asking questions, they called it a hoax, a conspiracy. Classic cover-up tactics. What are chemtrails made of? Independent labs have tested chemtrail residues. What they found was disturbing. Barium, a conductor used in radar and weather manipulation. Aluminum reflects sunlight, possibly to cool the planet artificially. Strontium, a heavy metal toxic in large doses. These aren't standard jet emissions. So what are they? Some scientists speculate the materials are used to create an atmospheric lens, a reflective surface to bounce high-frequency waves off, like those from HAARP. Others believe the particles are needed for plasma-based weapons or to assist in artificial storm creation. From the skies to the storms, chemtrails often appear in the days or hours before unusual weather events. People report sudden temperature drops, storms forming in cloudless skies, thunder with no lightning, lightning with no thunder. Coincidence? In 2018, several U.S. states reported snow that didn't melt properly, burning instead of turning to water. Videos went viral. Explanations were vague. What if the snow was laced with artificial particles? What if the weather had been manufactured? Alien tech, human hands. Let's connect the dots. 1947, Roswell. 1950s, 1970s, secret black budget programs begin. 1990s, chemtrail sightings increase. 2000s, weather anomalies spike globally. 20,172,024. Governments finally admit UFOs, UAPs exist. Why now? Because the tech is being used openly. The sky itself has become the laboratory. But here's the chilling question. Who is in charge? Are humans fully in control of the tech they inherited? Or are they still learning, still testing, still guessing? Worse, what if they're being manipulated by the very intelligence they thought they had outsmarted? Whistleblowers speak. Dr. Stephen Greer, former emergency physician and founder of the Disclosure Project, has claimed that black operations possess weather-altering technologies decades ahead of anything public. In interviews, he has warned, some of these technologies came from crash retrievals. They're no longer theoretical, they're real, and they're dangerous. Another insider, a former defense contractor named Classified, claimed, "We've made the weather a weapon, but it's not entirely ours." That last sentence haunts the conspiracy world. What if chemtrails are a cover for something bigger? What if the trails we see aren't the cause, but a side effect? What if the true weather control is invisible? What if those clouds are being used to hide alien surveillance or cloaked ships? Many witnesses have reported UFOs hiding in clouds, moving against the wind, glowing faintly. Could these ships be controlling the very air around them? Could chemtrails be used to create the right conditions for alien crafts to operate? You look up, what do you see? A blue sky, a peaceful day, or a battlefield where forces we don't understand are fighting for dominance? Most people don't look up at all. They're busy, distracted, indoctrinated. But you're not. You're watching. You're questioning. You're seeing patterns that others ignore. Why this story matters now. Climate change is real, but is all of it natural? Governments urge us to reduce emissions. Meanwhile, planes fill the sky with unknown substances. Satellites beam radiation into the atmosphere. HAARP pulses the ionosphere. And UFO sightings increase every year. Are we being told the truth? Or are we being conditioned slowly, carefully to accept the unnatural as normal? Are we witnessing the first alien-human hybrid technology? What if the war for the sky has already begun? Not with missiles, but with machines we don't see, with forces we barely understand. What if Roswell was not an end but a beginning? The beginning of a new era, where Earth's weather is the new battlefield, and alien tech is the most valuable weapon on the planet. Alien satellites in Earth orbit. Are we being watched or controlled? There's something watching us, not from the mountains, not from the skies, but from orbit, right above our heads, every second, every hour, every day. And the most terrifying part, It's not ours. A shadow in the sky. In 2023, multiple astronomers reported strange anomalies in Earth's orbit. Objects that weren't listed. Satellites that didn't belong to any nation. Silent, still, watching. NASA called them space debris, but some of them moved intentionally, not drifting, not decaying, but maneuvering. Can debris adjust its orbit? Can junk suddenly accelerate then disappear? The Black Knight satellite. Let's rewind. In the 1950s, long before humans even launched the first satellite, an object was already up there, photographed by NASA's early missions, orbiting Earth every 104 minutes. It became known as the Black Knight satellite. Neither the US nor the Soviet Union claimed it. It wasn't space junk. It wasn't a meteor. It was something else. In 1960, it was detected by the US Navy emitting a radio signal. One scientist said the signal was structured like a language, and then it stopped. What kind of satellite emits signals before we even had the technology to build them? Who put it there? And why? Are alien satellites watching the weather? Now imagine this. What if the Black Knight wasn't alone? In recent years, military satellites have picked up dozens of non-terrestrial objects in low Earth orbit. They don't follow normal patterns. They don't match any known design. And they often appear above storm zones just before massive weather events. Coincidence? Or are they tracking atmospheric changes? Or worse, triggering them? Could these be weather control stations deployed by an advanced civilization? Not on Earth, but orbiting it. NASA knows more than it says. In 2017, during a live feed from the International Space Station, something unusual happened. A glowing object appeared on the screen hovering just above Earth's horizon. Then, suddenly the feed cut out. NASA said it was a technical glitch. Viewers around the world weren't so sure. Moments later, another object appeared, triangle-shaped, metallic, drifting unnaturally. Then silence. This isn't the first time it's happened. Dozens of UFO sightings have occurred near the ISS, and every time, the live stream cuts off. Why? What is NASA hiding? Are we seeing alien satellites and being blocked from witnessing their full activity? Military whistleblowers speak out. A former U.S. Space Force analyst, identity withheld, stated anonymously, "There are at least 7 unknown objects in polar orbit that are not ours, and not Chinese or Russian. They maintain altitude, they avoid detection, and they seem to position themselves above high-energy weather events." Another whistleblower, a retired radar operator, told a similar story. "We tracked something hovering over a hurricane, stationary, no drift, no atmospheric push. We couldn't explain it. Could these be observation stations? Or are they remotely piloted weather machines? Either way, they aren't human. The pattern, storms, and satellites. Let's examine a chilling trend. In 2020, a super typhoon in the Pacific intensified rapidly. Satellites caught a cylindrical object above its eye. In 2021, Texas froze under a once-in-a-century ice storm. Just years earlier, SpaceX cameras filmed a triangular anomaly in low orbit. In 2023, wildfires raged across Greece. Local observatories captured flashes of light in orbit, not from satellites, but something else. Are these coincidences or coordinates? Are we in a climate control grid? A new theory is emerging, one that combines weather anomalies, UFO sightings, and orbital mysteries. It suggests that Earth may already be part of a climate control grid, an invisible system of satellites capable of monitoring cloud behavior, heating or cooling specific regions, inducing rain, drought, or storms, and even amplifying tectonic stress. The question is, Who is operating it? Some believe it's humans working with reverse-engineered alien tech from events like Roswell. Others believe it's purely extraterrestrial, not here to destroy us, but to reshape the planet for their own purpose. Terraforming, testing, or surveillance. From weather wars to orbital control. If the sky is a weapon, orbit is the command center. Whoever controls space controls Earth. That's not just theory. That's U.S. military doctrine. But what if we're not the only ones playing the game? What if alien civilizations have already positioned their tools? What if they've been there for centuries? Just outside our reach, just beyond our control, watching, calculating, intervening when it suits them. Satellite tech beyond human design. The strange orbital objects don't emit normal propulsion. They don't have solar panels. They don't reflect light like traditional satellites. Some don't even follow Keplerian physics, meaning they ignore gravity. How? Are they using anti-gravity systems, plasma propulsion, wormholes? Or are they tapping into something we can't even name yet? What ancient cultures saw in the sky? This may not be a new phenomenon. Ancient texts from India's Vedas describe flying chariots in the sky that created storms, floods, and droughts. Mayan glyphs depict sky beings controlling clouds. The Dogon tribe in Africa speaks of visitors from Sirius who could move across the sky in metal eggs and control rain. Were these early satellites? Were our ancestors already being observed thousands of years ago? Psychological warfare from orbit. Some experts suggest that orbital control systems may not just affect weather, but human thought. Extreme electromagnetic fields can impact mood, behavior, and even decision-making. Could these unknown satellites be broadcasting frequencies that alter the minds of entire cities? Mass confusion, disorientation, compliance. Is the storm outside just the start? What if the real war is already being fought in your mind? What if you looked up and it looked back? You step outside, the stars shine, the sky seems quiet. But what if, in that moment, something above you is observing, calculating, judging? What if you're not just a citizen of Earth, but part of a long-running experiment, and every cloud, every storm, every flash of lightning is being directed from orbit by something non-human, by something that never left? Where this story leads next. We began with red skies. We explored military rain machines. We uncovered chemtrails and alien tech. And now we're staring into space itself. Is there a network of alien satellites surrounding Earth? Are we part of a weather control grid without our consent? Is orbit already occupied? We don't know. But what we do know is this. There are eyes in the sky, and they're not blinking. Witness testimony. The cloud wasn't a cloud, it was moving like a machine. It wasn't drifting. It wasn't swirling. It was turning, like a gear, like a mechanism, like it was alive. That's what the pilot said. That's what the townspeople claimed. And they weren't alone. For decades, across continents, people have seen something strange in the sky. Not a craft, not a saucer, but a cloud moving the wrong way. Not with the wind, not with physics, but with purpose. The pilot's story. Over the Gulf of Mexico. It was June 2018. A commercial pilot flying from Houston to Tampa noticed something odd on radar. A formation. Circular, dense, but moving too fast. He looked out the cockpit window. Below them was a single dark cloud, flat-bottomed, oval-shaped, and glowing faintly at the edges. Clouds don't glow. As the plane passed nearby, the cloud accelerated against the wind. No turbulence, no drag. It moved with mechanical precision. The co-pilot whispered, "That's not weather." Later, Air traffic control reported no anomaly in that airspace. The radar logs were gone. The tapes erased. The pilot submitted a private report to a weather anomalies forum. His title: That Cloud Was a Machine. Locals on the ground. The spinning storm. In 2021, a small town in Oklahoma experienced an electrical storm unlike anything on record. No thunder, no rain, just a dense, silver-gray cloud hanging over Main Street motionless. Locals gathered to watch. And then it spun. Not like a tornado, more like a turbine, with sharp, segmented movement. Phones glitched, car alarms blared. The town lost power even though there was no lightning. Then, without warning, the cloud rose vertically and vanished into clear sky. Dozens of witnesses filed statements. But by the next morning, local media stopped reporting the story. Officials said it was a glitch in weather radar. The storms that don't make sense. Meteorologists are taught to read patterns, pressure, temperature, wind, moisture, from that they predict weather. But in recent years, strange storms have broken those rules. Clouds that move against prevailing winds. Thunderheads that hover in one place for hours. Rainfall that begins and ends in perfectly circular zones. Lightning with no charge buildup. Weather doesn't act like that, unless something is making it behave that way. Could clouds be hiding more than just rain? Clouds as cover. The UFO disguise theory. UFOs don't always appear as glowing disks. Sometimes they look like clouds. In 1957, over Fort Belvoir, Virginia, a military photographer captured a photo of a lenticular cloud, a rare saucer-shaped formation. But the object emitted a metallic reflection. It moved independently and then disappeared without dissipating. Even Project Blue Book, the U.S. Air Force's own investigation into UFOs, cataloged dozens of sightings where clouds were seen forming unnaturally, often seconds after UFOs vanished. The theory: some crafts may generate clouds as camouflage, or use advanced tech to project a cloud-like exterior masking their shape and heat signature. What looks like a storm cloud may not be a cloud at all. Pilot whispers. Stories never told to the public. Military pilots often fly above or through storm systems. Some of them have seen things they were told never to talk about. A retired U.S. Air Force Major Anonymous spoke under oath to the Disclosure Project. In 1998, we flew a recon mission over the South China Sea. There was a cloud mass hovering over the water. We approached and it shimmered like metal, then it vanished instantly. No cloud does that. Another commercial airline captain, flying over the Alps, reported a storm system that kept changing shape, reacting to their plane. It was like it was following us. We changed course, so did it. They logged the incident. No response. The case was sealed. Why would alien tech hide in clouds? If you were an advanced intelligence studying Earth and wanted to remain unseen, where would you hide? In the water? Underground? Or in the sky, disguised as the one thing humans never question? Clouds are everywhere. They move, shift, vanish. They're perfect camouflage, especially for weather control devices. Satellites that drop down. Probes that scan Earth's atmosphere. Machines that alter wind currents or moisture levels. And when done, they dissolve, leaving no trace. No wreckage. No sound. Just blue sky. Electromagnetic disturbances. The telltale sign. There's one thing almost every moving cloud sighting shares. Electromagnetic disruption. Phones stop working. GPS signals vanish. Compasses sting. Even brain fog or sudden migraines are reported. Why? Because if these clouds are machines, They likely use in propulsion, bending gravity, manipulating space. That tech would interfere with everything around it. It's the signature, the sign that what you're seeing is not natural. From the clouds to the storm. In 2022, a supercell thunderstorm in Montana was monitored by amateur storm chasers. One group noticed something strange. A cloud low, flat, silent was moving toward the storm, not away. And it wasn't being pulled. It was guiding. Within minutes, the supercell's direction changed toward a populated area. That's not normal. Storms don't obey clouds. Unless the cloud was in control. Hours later, 4 tornadoes touched down. Dozens injured. Property destroyed. When asked if the cloud could have been a drone or aircraft, officials said, "There's no record of anything in that airspace." Eyewitness sketches, too similar to be coincidence. Across forums, databases, and private testimonies, the descriptions repeat. Oval cloud, metallic glint beneath, silent movement, unaffected by wind, interference. Some sketches look nearly identical even from different countries, different years. How can that be? Unless they're all seeing the same thing, or the same type of thing. A class of machines, clouds with engines. Are we at war and we don't know it? The sky is changing. Storms are no longer random. Clouds are no longer innocent. If these cloud machines are real, who built them? Why are they here? Surveillance, experimentation, terraforming. Are we just lab rats, watched from above while machines wear the mask of weather? Or worse, are they preparing for something? Look up, but look closer. Next time you see a dark cloud, watch it. Is it moving oddly? Is it following the wind, or defying it? Does your signal drop when it passes overhead? Do you feel washed? We've been told clouds are harmless, but more and more witnesses say otherwise. And maybe, just maybe, they're not crazy. Why this testimony changes everything. Theories are one thing. Documents, data, patterns, they build suspicion. But witnesses, people who've seen it, felt it, lived it, they break the illusion. You can't ignore them all. Pilots, citizens, experts. When enough people say, that cloud wasn't a cloud, you stop laughing. You start listening. You start watching the sky differently. What comes next? If cloud-like machines are real, and if they're manipulating our weather, then we are not in control. Not of the storms, not of the skies, not even of our future. The question is no longer if they're real. The question is, what are they preparing us for? Pentagon UAP reports, do aliens understand Earth's climate better than we do? They were already there. Before the quake, before the flood, before the storm. Hovering, watching, silent. Unidentified aerial phenomena UAPs spotted minutes before disaster struck. Over oceans, mountains, cities. Coincidence or calculation? And if they weren't here to stop it, what were they doing? The Pentagon's UAP reports a shocking pattern. In June 2021, the U.S. Department of Defense released a long-awaited report titled Preliminary Assessment, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. It analyzed 144 cases from 2004 to 2021. The rest, unresolved and known, unworldly. But there's something the mainstream media missed. Dozens of these sightings occurred near or just before major natural disasters. 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami UAP recorded 2 hours before impact. 2010 Haiti earthquake, luminous object seen hovering over fault lines. 2017 Hurricane Maria, pilots spotted a fast-moving silver orb above the eye of the storm. 2020 Beirut explosion, multiple videos captured unidentified flashes in the sky seconds before the blast. The Pentagon didn't call it a pattern, but to some, it was a warning sign. Why appear before a disaster? Ask yourself, why would a non-human intelligence be present before a catastrophe? To monitor, to measure, or to manipulate? Some scientists argue that UAPs might be climate probes not here for humans, but for the planet itself, studying pressure zones, tracking tectonic shifts, or possibly influencing them. Could these visitors understand Earth's geophysical systems better than we do? Could they predict disaster or even trigger it? Whistleblower claims they're not random. Luis Elizondo, former director of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program AETIP, has hinted at something disturbing. Some UAPs don't just appear randomly. They show up around our nuclear sites, our military installations, and yes, even during climatic anomalies. He was asked if these objects could be weather-related. His response: we shouldn't assume they're unaware of our environment. In fact, they might know it better than we do. That statement sent shockwaves through the UAP research community. If they know when earthquakes are coming, if they track superstorms in real time, and if they appear at just the right moment, are they part of the natural cycle, or managing it? Classified footage, leaked and disturbing. In 2022, a leaked video surfaced on a military forum. The footage, time-stamped August 13, 2020, showed a Navy surveillance drone, a typhoon forming off the coast of the Philippines, a dark sphere hovering just above the forming eye wall. The sphere accelerated into the clouds, and the typhoon's power doubled in minutes. The footage was removed within hours. Accounts were banned. No explanation ever came. Coincidence? Or the wrong eye seeing too much? Do aliens read Earth like a code? Scientists say Earth's climate is chaotic, but chaos still has patterns, signals, algorithms. What if advanced beings have already decoded the entire system? What if they can simulate atmospheric behavior the way we simulate weather apps, but with flawless precision? They don't react to storms. They see them coming weeks ahead. They move through tectonic plates like a map. And maybe, just maybe, they interfere when it serves their agenda. The 2004 tsunami, a UAP before the wave. December 26, 2004. The deadliest tsunami in modern history. Over 230,000 people lost their lives. But 90 minutes before the wave hit Indonesia, multiple fishermen off the coast of Banda Aceh reported a glowing object silently rising from the sea. It shot into the clouds, then vanished. Local villagers reported the same thing. No noise, no wind, just a vertical beam of light. No mainstream reports mentioned it, but UAP researchers collected dozens of testimonies. Why there? Why then? Earthquakes, UAPs, and strange lights. Seismologists have long reported mysterious earthquake-like sudden glows in the sky before major quakes. But in recent years, many of these lights look structured, like craft, like intelligent movement. Japan, 2011, before the 9.0 quake, satellite images caught a pulsing light above the epicenter. Mexico, 2017. Locals captured video of a metallic orb hovering above fault lines. It disappeared just before the ground shook. Turkey, 2023. Witnesses described a cloud that blinked like a machine minutes before buildings crumbled. These are not lightning strikes. They are precision occurrences. What are we missing? Could they be protecting something else? What if it's not about us? What if aliens or interdimensional observers are here for the planet itself? They monitor fault lines, magnetic fields, and ocean currents, not to save humanity but to preserve the biosphere. Maybe They intervene when human actions threaten the balance. Maybe they let disasters happen when they restore it. Climate collapse, ocean acidification, mass extinction. Perhaps we're not the first civilization on this planet, and perhaps these visitors are custodians of the Earth, long-term guardians of the system, not the species. The Pentagon's silent signals. The 2023 Pentagon UAP update added even more fuel to the fire. For the first time, the report acknowledged repeated proximity between UAPs and environmental anomalies. Buried on page 17, it stated, "There appears to be a recurring temporal correlation between UAP observations and high-energy geophysical events." What does that mean? In simple terms, they keep showing up near disasters. No theory, no conclusion, just observation. But the implication? Massive. The scientists who want to speak but can't? Privately, meteorologists and geologists have admitted strange correlations. One unnamed NASA climate specialist said, "We've seen movement in the upper ionosphere right before Category 5 storms, movement we can't explain. Then we hear from ISS that they saw a metallic reflection near the system." Another university volcanologist confessed, "Seismic readings in some events spike and then normalize, as if something dampens or delays them." How? By what? By who? Are we looking at Earth's true masters? We think we run this planet, but what if we're renters? And what if the landlord just came back? If UAPs show advanced knowledge of Earth systems, if they can arrive before events we can't predict, if they hover over volcanoes, faults, storms, and do nothing, maybe it's not inaction. Maybe it's oversight. Or worse, maybe it's control. How would you feel if they knew that tsunami was coming and didn't warn us? How would you feel if they watched as hurricanes tore through cities while hovering above with unknowable tech? Would you call them gods, monsters, or scientists? Maybe to them, we're data points. Temporary, replaceable. Are we the experiment? Here's the most chilling theory. What if natural disasters aren't natural anymore? What if they're test variables? What if Earth is a lab and every UAP is a sensor, probe, or manipulator, watching our response, measuring fear, observing how the species reacts to chaos? If true, then everything we've experienced, fires, floods, storms, quakes, might not just be climate change. It might be a simulation, and we're the test subjects. Why this chapter matters. We've moved beyond theory. We now have military reports, eyewitness testimonies, video evidence, and government documents. And they point to one chilling conclusion. UAPs are not random. They're not accidents. They're aligned with nature, with disasters, with the very systems that sustain Earth. And whether they're here to help or control, one truth remains. They understand this planet better than we do. And they're not leaving. Lightning with no thunder. Electrical storms linked to UFO sightings. The sky lit up, but there was no sound, no rumble, no echo, no warning. Just a flash, then silence, and then a strange object hovering above the trees. Was it a glitch in the weather, or something far more advanced? Can lightning exist without thunder? Or are we witnessing a different kind of energy? When nature breaks its own rules, lightning is loud. It always has been. A bolt of electricity superheats the air, causing a violent shockwave. That shockwave is thunder. So, when lightning strikes, and no sound follows, something's wrong. Something's missing. Unless it's not lightning at all. Silent lightning events are real and increasing. In recent years, there's been a spike in reports of silent storms. People describe bright, jagged bolts in the sky, flashes that illuminate entire landscapes, but not a single sound. No thunder, no crack, just light. And here's the twist. Many of these events happen during clear weather. No clouds, no rain, no explanation. Meteorologists struggle to explain them. Some call them dry lightning. But dry lightning still makes noise. These don't. They break the rules of physics. And they often appear in places where something else is also spotted. UFOs. The night the sky blinked in Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona, April 2019. A couple driving along Route 87 saw the sky light up in total silence. No storm was forecasted, no thunderclouds in sight. But for 3 full seconds, the desert horizon turned bright white. Then something emerged from the light, a dark triangular object hovering above a saguaro cactus field. It made no sound. It didn't blink, and it didn't fly away. It simply faded as if the light was never there. Multiple reports came that night. The weather radar showed no lightning activity. The military denied operations in the area. But dashcam footage proved something was there. A flash, then a shadow, then silence. UFOs and electromagnetic energy. Many UFOs are associated with an electromagnetic interference. Car engines die, radios buzz, phones freeze, animals panic. But now researchers are noticing another pattern. Artificial-looking lightning that precedes or follows a sighting. Could these objects be releasing some kind of directed energy? Some physicists propose that UFO propulsion systems may use plasma fields or zero-point energy, both capable of disrupting local atmospheric conditions. In simple terms, they might generate lightning-like effects without the thunder. Why? To mask their movement, to create temporary openings in space-time, to disrupt surveillance. Or are they simply byproducts of a technology we don't understand? Silent lightning over military bases. It gets darker. In 2020, over Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, one of the most secretive facilities in the U.S., dozens of civilians reported lightning bolts flashing across the sky. No thunder, no storms. Then, 2 glowing orbs were seen moving silently above the base. A witness told local news. It looked like the sky was cracking open, but everything was quiet. That's what scared me the most. Military officials issued no comment, but UAP researchers weren't surprised. Wright-Patterson is where wreckage from Roswell was rumored to be stored. Was the storm real? Or was something else powering that sky? Thunderless storms, a global phenomenon. This isn't just an American mystery. In Japan, fishermen reported silent lightning over the Sea of Japan, followed by a metallic shape submerging into the ocean. In Norway, hikers captured footage of a flash above a fjord and a black disk hovering at the center of it. In Argentina, a farmer recorded bolts hitting his field, but with zero sound. His cows ran, his phone died, his watch froze. Are these isolated events? Or are we seeing a coordinated phenomenon, natural phenomenon, or hidden intelligence? Some scientists argue that silent lightning could be explained by inversion layers, atmospheric conditions that muffle sound. Others say it's just rare weather, but that doesn't explain clear skies, interference, accompanying objects that don't match aircraft, movement patterns that defy gravity, video evidence showing light patterns resembling controlled pulses. This is not natural lightning. It's something else, and it seems intelligent. The storm that never was. In 2021, residents of rural Queensland, Australia, were alerted to a possible thunderstorm. The radar lit up. Weather apps warned of electrical activity. Locals saw flashes of light in the distance. But no thunder followed, no wind, no clouds. When emergency teams arrived, they found nothing. No signs of rainfall, no burned trees, no storm damage, just silence. And one farmer reported something odd. The light kept circling the same spot in the sky, like a loop. Then it vanished. Project Blue Book files, hints from the past. During its active years, Project Blue Book cataloged hundreds of sightings tied to unusual atmospheric conditions. Several files describe silent electrical flashes coinciding with saucer-shaped crafts. One 1954 report from Kansas noted, cloudless sky, lightning observed without thunder. Object move west to east at impossible velocity. Local instruments malfunctioned. These cases were never explained. They were marked as inconclusive, and they were buried. Why? Because the government didn't have the answers. Could UFOs be tapping Earth's atmosphere? Here's a theory that chills the spine. What if UFOs are using Earth's ionosphere, the electrically charged part of our upper atmosphere, as a power source? Some researchers believe that these crafts draw energy from the natural charge of the atmosphere, like a wireless battery. When they do, it may cause silent electrical discharges, localized M surges, temporary light storms that confuse radar and weather detection. That's not lightning, it's refueling, and we're watching it without understanding what it is. Are we witnessing atmospheric engineering? Imagine a species advanced enough to control not just space travel, but weather, energy, the air itself. What if the silent lightning is a sign of atmospheric modification, testing how to steer storms, alter jet streams, shift temperature zones, or cloak movement? We see the flash, we hear nothing. But something changes quietly, invisibly, globally. The emotional shock of silent lightning. People who witness these events don't just report confusion, they report fear. It felt wrong, like nature had been tampered with. I wasn't scared of the light, I was scared of what was behind it. No sound, just light. It was like something erased the thunder. We're taught to trust patterns. When lightning breaks those patterns, and something hovers silently nearby, our instincts scream. This is not normal. And maybe that instinct is right. What are we really seeing? Let's ask the terrifying question. What if the silent lightning is not an accident, not a byproduct, but a language, a signal, a warning, a way of communicating not with words, but with energy? If so, who's it for? US or others already in the sky? The flash before the storm. We've seen UAPs near earthquakes, near hurricanes, near volcanic eruptions. Now we see them before storms of silence. Could these electrical anomalies be precursors, harbingers of events yet to unfold, or the tail end of experiments already completed? Either way, we should be watching. Every flash, every bolt, every second of silence. Ancient civilizations and the weather gods, were they describing aliens all along? They came from the sky. They rode thunder. They brought floods, winds, and fire. The ancients called them gods. But what if they weren't gods at all? What if they were visitors? With technology so advanced, it looked like magic or divinity. Technology that could control the weather. Did ancient civilizations encounter extraterrestrial beings and mistake them for weather deities? Lightning in their hands, fire in the sky. In nearly every ancient culture, there were beings who controlled the elements. The Egyptians had Tefnut, goddess of moisture, Shu, god of air. The Greeks feared Zeus, the sky god who hurled lightning from the heavens. The Mayans worshipped Shak, who struck clouds with his lightning axe to bring rain. The Norse feared for the thunder god with a hammer that roared through storms. The Hindus revered Indra, who rode clouds and controlled the monsoons. The Sumerians spoke of Enlil, lord of the wind and storms. Different names, different eras, same story. Mysterious beings came from above. They changed the weather, and they left no trace. Or did they? The pattern that shouldn't exist. How is it that cultures separated by oceans, centuries, and languages all had sky beings with the same abilities? Lightning, rain, fire from the heavens, machines in the clouds, weapons of wind and flood. This pattern repeats globally. Coincidence or shared experience? What if these cultures weren't imagining gods but describing the same encounters in their own words? What if their myths are memories? Ancient alien theory, more than just pyramids. We've heard the theories that aliens helped build the pyramids, that they taught the Mayans astronomy, that they shaped Nazca lines for navigation. But what if their real power wasn't architecture, but climate control? What if these beings arrived not with weapons but with weather tech, to terraform, to demonstrate power, to intervene in droughts or floods? That would explain why they were worshipped. They didn't just descend from the sky. They changed the sky, the flying shields of ancient texts. In a 3rd century BCE Sanskrit text, the Mahabharata, there are vivid descriptions of sky chariots called vimanas. They flew without wings. They glowed. They created windstorms. One passage reads, "The chariot rose into the sky with a great roar, and the air cracked with fire. Storm followed its path." That doesn't sound like a religious metaphor. It sounds like a mechanical aircraft disrupting the atmosphere. The Bible tells of Elijah ascending to heaven in a chariot of fire. The book of Ezekiel describes wheels within wheels glowing, spinning in the sky. Thunder, lightning, flight. Were these UFOs? Egypt, the sky gods with unnatural powers. The Egyptians believed their gods came from the stars, especially Ra, who traveled across the sky in a sunboat. But some carvings show more than just symbolism. They show wingless craft, beams from the sky, storms following their descent, scribes recording a sound like rolling stone as these beings arrived. One lesser-known god, Set, was associated with chaos, desert storms, and unnatural weather. He was said to tear the sky open. Was Set a myth, or a misunderstood weather manipulation event? Mayan temples and sky portals. The Mayans were master astronomers, and their temples were aligned with celestial cycles. But in carvings, they didn't just chart stars. They depicted beings descending from the heavens, with serpent-like machines trailing behind them. Chak, their rain god, held what looked like a mechanical tool, not a lightning bolt, but something structured. In some temples, reliefs show clouds shaped like discs, spirals descending from above, beings riding wind and fire to bring the rainy season. To the Mayans, these were gods. To modern eyes, they look like crafts, thunder gods or power-wielding visitors. Zeus, Thor, Indra, Hrun, Tlaloc, they all share traits: lightning weapons, control over storms, ability to fly, fearsome judgment from the sky. In ancient tales, they punish humanity with floods, droughts, and hurricanes. But what if those weren't judgments? What if those were demonstrations of power or warnings? Could these beings have used directed energy to simulate weather, to enforce submission, to terraform? And when they left, the stories became religion. The flood myths, real weather manipulation. Nearly every culture has a flood myth. Noah's Ark, Middle East; Gilgamesh, Mesopotamia; Manu's boat, India; Deucalion, Greece; Coxcox, Aztec; Each story describes a massive, sudden flood, often following divine anger, but none offer scientific causes. Could these have been the result of artificial weather events, controlled rainfall, triggered ocean surges, atmospheric weaponry, and were the survivors chosen or spared? Archaeological clues, symbols we don't understand. In Bolivia's Tiwanaku ruins, symbols carved 1,000 years ago depict circular objects raining down zigzag lines, lightning, sky beings holding rods emitting beams, floating structures above fields of corn, possibly raincraft. In Turkey's Göbekli Tepe, the oldest known megalithic site, some pillars show winged discs, beings descending in spirals, lightning striking animals, with figures watching from above. These aren't random decorations. They're stories, carved in stone, etched in memory, waiting to be reread. What if these gods return? If they came once, could they come again? And if ancient people worshipped them for their weather powers, would modern humanity fear them or welcome them? Would they be seen as saviors during climate crisis, or as invaders triggering the very disasters they appear to help with? History shows a pattern. They arrive, they change the sky, they vanish, and we tell stories. But this time, if they return, we'll have cameras, satellites, drones, and maybe finally answers. Were we always being studied? Some theorists suggest that Earth is an observation post, that beings with climate technology seeded civilizations across the globe not to rule, but to monitor, to see how we grow, how we use resources, how we handle chaos, and whether storms, droughts, floods is the ultimate test. Did they give us myths or memories? Did they bless us with tools or limit us with awe? Are gods just ancient astronauts with advanced technology? And are they still watching? The emotional truth, faith or fear. If you learned that your gods were machines, would you still pray? If you discovered your myths were misunderstood UFO encounters, would you feel enlightened or betrayed? Faith is powerful. So is fear. The line between divine and technological is thin, especially when you don't understand the science. Our ancestors saw lightning and called it divine. We see strange lights in the sky and call it alien. Maybe they're the same. What are we remembering? Perhaps our stories aren't inventions. Perhaps they're warnings, echoes of past contact, filtered through all, carved into myth. Maybe the gods didn't leave. Maybe they're just waiting for the right moment to return. And when they do, will they bring rain or judgment? Ice storm in the desert. Are alien tech experiments causing climate anomalies? Snow in the Sahara in July. Hail the size of fists falling in 45°C heat. Something's not right. Something's off. Is this climate change or something else? Could these extreme weather anomalies be experiments conducted by an intelligence not of this earth? And if so, what are they testing? The desert turned white. It started in 2016. Satellite images showed something unthinkable. A stretch of red sand dunes in Algeria covered in snow. Not frost, not mist, but actual snow, 40 centimeters thick. It melted within a day, but the images went viral. And so did the questions. How could this happen? Meteorologists called it a rare phenomenon, a perfect collision of cold air and moisture. But then it happened again and again. 2018, 2021, 2023. Each time heavier, each time closer to summer. Is the Sahara changing? Or is something manipulating it? Hail in the hottest places. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Death Valley, all experienced intense hailstorms in recent years. Streets flooded, cars destroyed, livestock killed. The hail, unnatural in shape. Some pellets were angular, like manufactured ice. One witness said, "It was as if the sky spit out bullets. I'd never seen ice like that, not even in winter. But these places aren't supposed to get hail. Not like that. Not during heat waves." So, where is it coming from? The pattern since 2010. Climate anomalies have spiked since 2010. Snow and deserts, torrential rain in dry zones, sudden heat waves in Arctic zones, lightning storms with no clouds. And curiously, many of these events occur near military installations, satellite zones, or documented UFO hotspots. Coincidence or correlation? Is someone or something testing the boundaries of weather? And if so, why test it here and now? The theory of geo-experimentation. Climate scientists once laughed at the idea of weather manipulation. Not anymore. Projects like HAARP in Alaska, cloud seeding in China, ionosphere testing in Russia have shown that humans already experiment with the sky. So, imagine what a non-human intelligence could do. Imagine a craft hovering miles above, tapping into the electromagnetic layers of Earth, using technology that can freeze, flood, or fry areas with precision. What if those hailstorms aren't accidents? What if they're calibrations? The evidence from space. NASA satellites have captured strange heat signatures. Cold fronts appearing without cloud systems, localized snowfall forming in perfect circles, lightning patterns repeating in mathematical formations. Some of these patterns have no natural explanation. One 2022 satellite pass over Western Australia recorded a circular temperature drop of 30 C, no storm buildup, no atmospheric change, but a single fast-moving object above the zone minutes before. NASA didn't comment, but insiders whispered about aerial interference. Not from Earth. Whistleblower reports they're testing something. A former defense contractor, under anonymity, told independent investigators. There are areas on Earth that are being targeted for response mapping. The goal: see how the biosphere reacts to stress in heat, cold, pressure, magnetism. He added, "We don't control it. We just monitor what happens after it's done." When asked who was doing the targeting, his only reply was, "Not us." Are deserts being used as testing labs? The Sahara, the Atacama, the Mojave, the empty quarter, remote, hostile, barely populated. Ideal places to conduct tests. Tests on atmosphere, on moisture, on reaction. Deserts don't have forests to destroy. They don't have cities to panic. You can generate snow there without questions. You can unleash storms without much damage. It's the perfect climate sandbox. And someone may be using it. The alien technology hypothesis. Some researchers believe UFOs don't just fly, they bend the environment. They alter gravity fields, disturb air pressure, and ionize the atmosphere. That would explain radar blackouts, unnatural cloud shapes, sudden cold spots during sightings, ice forming at impossible temperatures. Could these be side effects of propulsion systems? Or are they intended consequences? If aliens can modify reality around their craft, could they also shape weather around regions? Artificial hail, manufactured ice, or plasma? Scientists analyzing hailstones from extreme events found something odd. Unnatural layering, traces of unknown metallic dust, odd chemical compounds inside the ice. One report from Mongolia documented hail with a perfect hexagonal core, something not found in nature. Meteorologists were baffled. Some suggested military interference. Others suspected geoengineering. But a third camp, the one never invited to press conferences, said, "This isn't human. This is precision. This is engineered. By whom? That's the question they never answer. Could this be an alien terraforming dry run? What if these climate events aren't attacks, but preparations? Testing how Earth's climate reacts to abrupt manipulation, to see how fast air can be cooled, how far hail can be launched, how ecosystems adapt to forced anomalies. Terraforming isn't just about making planets livable. It's about making them controllable. Maybe Earth is already livable, but not yet customized. The human blind spot. Our problem is perspective. We look at snow in the desert and say, climate change. We see hail in 50 Celsius heat and say, freak storm. We dismiss what doesn't fit. But what if the weirdness is the message? What if each anomaly is a signature, a mark, a flag, a clue that someone's been here and is watching the way we react? Emotional reactions, wonder or warning. How do you feel when you see snow on sand? Why? Confusion, fear. These events stir something primal, because deep inside, we know this isn't natural. We feel the wrongness. We sense the tampering. And yet we pretend it's all explainable, because the alternative that we're not alone and we're being tested is harder to accept. A planet under experiment. Maybe Earth isn't just a home. Maybe it's a subject, a giant experiment, an evolving lab with its own data points, temperature, moisture, resistance, response, and the recent anomalies. They're not glitches. They're results. Someone is gathering them, silently, systematically, and we're just beginning to notice. What comes next? If snow can fall in deserts, if hail can strike in heat waves, if lightning can flash without thunder, then what's next? A hurricane in Antarctica, a firestorm in Greenland, a thundercloud made entirely of metal. Where is the line between weather and weaponry? And who decides when to cross it? If they can travel light years, can't they also control the clouds? They crossed galaxies, bent gravity, moved faster than light. So, would controlling a few clouds really be that difficult? If they can warp space-time, why wouldn't they also warp air pressure, humidity, and climate zones? Is weather manipulation just a basic function of a far more advanced technology? And here's the real question. If they're doing it, would we even know? A terrifyingly simple logic. Let's think in steps. To reach Earth from another star system, an alien species would need to break Newtonian physics, master energy beyond our imagination, manipulate gravitational fields, or fold dimensions using wormholes or quantum corridors. Now compare that to Earth's weather. A chaotic, dynamic system, yes, but governed by simple forces: air temperature, pressure differentials, moisture content, solar radiation, electromagnetic balance. If they can manipulate gravity, why not air pressure? If they can travel across light years, wouldn't steering a thundercloud be trivial? The principle of technological scale. Arthur C. Clarke once said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. We tend to assume that flying saucers are the peak of alien capability. But what if that's just transportation? What about their terraforming tools, their weather systems, their ability to scan, modify, or reshape planetary ecosystems? For us, weather prediction is still hit or miss. For them, weather control may be elementary. Our struggles versus their mastery. Here's what humanity can do barely. Seed clouds to increase rainfall. Use HAARP to probe the ionosphere. Launch rockets to monitor atmospheric conditions. But we can't stop hurricanes, prevent droughts, generate rain on demand, cool the planet without side effects. Now imagine a civilization 10,000 years ahead of us, or 1,000,000. They wouldn't need weather forecasts. They'd simply code the weather. What does UFO behavior tell us? Let's analyze how UAPs behave in our skies. They appear suddenly with electromagnetic distortions, create pressure waves without sonic booms, move without propulsion trails, emit plasma-like fields that disturb local environments, disappear during or just before natural disasters. That suggests energy field manipulation on a massive scale. And if they're controlling energy fields, then clouds, rain, storms, even lightning would all be within reach. The question isn't can they, it's why would they? Earth's atmosphere, a toy or two. Our planet is wrapped in a thin, fragile shell of air. To us, it's life. To them, it might be interface. Think about it. The atmosphere is electrically active, magnetically dynamic, thermodynamically complex, globally interconnected. For an alien intelligence, it might function like a fluid canvas. They could paint storms, create natural phenomena, conduct environmental tests, or even send coded messages in the form of weather patterns. And we'd be watching in awe, calling it climate change. Their technology might be biological. Here's a disturbing possibility. What if their craft and their systems are mechanical but organic? What if they don't fly ships? They grow them. What if their technology mimics life, adapts to environments, interacts with Earth's biosphere? If so, cloud formations could be part of a living interface. That strange lightning storm, it might be communication. That hurricane that changed direction suddenly, a course correction. The mist that lingers for days with no wind, surveillance. And we'd never know. The cloud is cloak. UFOs are often seen near clouds. Sometimes they appear to merge into them, create them, emerge from them, or fly beneath them undetected. This suggests clouds may serve as cover, even vehicle skins. If they can generate their own weather shells, they could hide in plain sight. You wouldn't see a saucer. You'd see a fluffy cumulus cloud, stationary, silent, but wrong. And no one would question it, because it looks natural. Propulsion that changes the environment. Several high-level pilots have reported strange UAP behavior. As it moved, the air around it shimmered like a mirage. It left no trail, but lightning sparked behind it. It wasn't flying through the air. It was moving the air around it. This suggests something critical. UFOs don't just fly through the atmosphere. They reshape it as they go. That implies real-time climate alteration, environmental disruption fields, temporary shifts in temperature, pressure, and magnetism. Imagine thousands of these ships working in sync. Could they reprogram Earth's climate? Ancient clues in the sky. We've seen this before in myth and stone. Gods who summon wind and fire, beings who ride thunder, lights in the clouds that bring both drought and flood. From Egypt to the Andes, stories speak of visitors who shaped the sky. Were these not gods, but engineers? Did they terraform before leaving, or leave weather protocols running? And are today's anomalies the result of systems still in play? Psychological manipulation through weather. Here's a dark theory. What if controlling weather isn't just about nature, but about us? Humans react emotionally to the sky. Storms cause fear. Heat waves bring panic. Snow in the desert causes confusion. Lightning without thunder feels wrong. Could a non-human intelligence be testing our psychology, watching how we respond to sudden climate shifts, weather that defies science, coincidences that stir fear? Are they probing not the Earth, but the human mind? Why clouds? Because they're everywhere. Clouds are global. They're visible. They're dynamic, fluid, adaptable. If you wanted to modify a planet without being noticed, you'd work through its most overlooked system. Clouds carry water, energy, particles, electromagnetic signals, memory, and atmospheric feedback loops. They're the nervous system of the weather. Control the clouds, and you control everything beneath them. Could they be sending signals we can't decode? Ever noticed how cloud patterns sometimes look deliberate? Swirls forming perfect spirals, storms repeating in geometrical symmetry, rain falling in unnaturally localized zones. Are these just chance? Or could they be coded messages? We understand digital data, but what if another intelligence uses atmospheric data, shifting pressure, timing lightning, forming patterns only visible from orbit? Maybe they're talking. We just don't speak the language. The emotional core. We know it's not normal. Every time we see lightning in a clear sky, or snow where it shouldn't fall, something inside us stirs. A chill, a signal, because deep down, we know nature doesn't act like this. Not unless something else is acting through it. And maybe that something is watching us through the very sky we take for granted. What if the clouds are listening? Here's the final twist. What if it's not just about control? What if it's about observation? The cloud you see above you, is it moisture? Or is it a sensor? A cover for surveillance? A shower on an invisible ship? A data-gathering node? Maybe the sky isn't empty. Maybe it's filled with eyes. We don't need to look to the stars, because the real invasion may already be floating above us. If you were a government, would you admit aliens control the weather? What if you knew the truth, that something not human controls the sky? That the floods, the droughts, the fires, they weren't accidents. They were engineered. Would you tell the world? Would you walk to the podium and say, "We're not in charge anymore"? Picture this. You're a top official. You've just seen the classified files. You've read the reports. UFOs appearing hours before earthquakes. Plasma clouds forming above military bases. Hail falling in deserts directly above known radar anomalies. You ask for an explanation. The scientists are silent. The generals won't make eye contact. Then someone says it. We believe this is non-human intelligence, possibly extraterrestrial, possibly autonomous, and we can't stop it. Now you understand. You're no longer in control. And the people, they still think it's just weather. So, what do? Do you tell the truth? B, cover it up? C, distract the public with climate change warnings without saying who's really behind it? You know the answer. Most governments would choose C, not because they're evil, but because the truth is too dangerous, too destabilizing, too terrifying. The problem with the truth, if you announced aliens or a superior intelligence control parts of Earth's weather system, what would happen? Markets would crash, airlines would be grounded, religious groups would panic, scientific institutions would be humiliated, and billions of people would no longer trust their leaders. Why vote? Why pay taxes? Why obey laws? When your government can't even control the rain. Governments fear panic more than UFOs. History tells us one thing. When faced with chaos, governments suppress. During the Cold War, UFOs over nuclear sites were buried in files. After Roswell, wreckage was rebranded as a weather balloon. Project Blue Book wasn't just an investigation, it was a PR shield. So, imagine this. Now they don't just know about aliens. They know those beings can change Earth's atmosphere at will. Wouldn't that become the most heavily guarded secret in history? The classified files you'll never see. Multiple insiders from the military, intelligence, and aerospace sectors have dropped hints. Some of their statements. There are weather patterns that follow no logic unless you factor in external, intelligent manipulation. Some of the most severe hurricanes on record began after high atmosphere interference, but the source is unknown. We've detected objects inside cloud systems that shouldn't be there. They move, they communicate, and they seem to observe us. But those testimonies, buried, discredited, forgotten, because admitting the truth would shatter the illusion of government control. How do you hide the sky? That's the dilemma. You can't censor clouds. You can't block storms. You can't stop the sun from vanishing behind a blood-red sky. So you do the next best thing. Blame it on climate change. Use scientific terms: extreme weather variability, pressure anomalies, jet stream shifts. Say it's all natural even when it's not. And if someone posts a video of a UFO inside a thundercloud, flag it as CGI. Delete it. Call it a hoax. Because once the public believes the weather is being controlled by something else, governments lose power. The climate narrative, a convenient shield. Let's be clear, climate change is real. But is it the full explanation? Or is it also a cover? Think about it. If extraterrestrial manipulation causes even 5% of extreme weather events, would the public ever know? Or would those events be folded into the climate narrative? Unusual snowfall in the Sahara must be global warming. Category 6 hurricane formed in 24 hours. Just natural intensification. Lightning storm with no clouds happens all the time. The truth disappears into scientific noise, and the people stay asleep. The chain of silence. Even if one official wanted to speak, they'd be stopped. Intelligence agencies monitor weather anomaly research. Whistleblowers get silenced or discredited. Journalists are warned off. Academics lose funding when they ask the wrong questions. The silence isn't incompetence. It's orchestration. Because one slip, one leak, and the entire illusion of control falls apart. Psychological warfare. Better to be ignorant. Now ask yourself, if you were a civilian, and the government told you, the storms destroying your home may be caused by an alien force we can't stop, how would you feel? Powerless, panicked, paralyzed. You'd question everything. Faith, science, civilization. So maybe, just maybe, the silence isn't just cover-up. Maybe it's psychological protection. But the signs are there if you look. You don't need a leaked Pentagon file. The sky is speaking. The clouds are whispering. Lightning that flashes with no thunder. Storms that form over military zones then vanish. Hailstorms in deserts. Snow in places that haven't seen it in 100 years. Clouds shaped like discs, hovering without movement. And each time it happens, someone says, "That's odd," then moves on, because the truth is too big, too strange, too far outside the framework we've been given. Is this the greatest lie ever told? Maybe governments aren't the puppet masters. Maybe they're just the middlemen, trying to hold the line, buying time, hoping that whatever is behind this stays in the sky. But deep down, they know they're not the ones calling the shots. And eventually, the public will see the pattern and demand answers. So ask yourself, if you were in charge, would you break the silence? Would you risk worldwide chaos to tell the truth? Or would you lie? Would you call it climate change? Say it's rare weather. Blame El Niño, La Niña, the ozone, anything but the unthinkable. Now imagine this. That's exactly what's happening right now. And the only thing between you And the truth is the sky. What if the disasters weren't natural? The psychological toll of a hidden war, another flood, another fire, another sky turned black. People watch helplessly. They ask, why now, why here? No answers come. But what if? What if these disasters weren't natural? What if they were weapons, fired not with missiles, but with clouds, winds, and storms? And what if we've been in a war all along? The mind can only take so much. Humans fear what they don't understand. But we need to believe disasters are random, that nature is cruel but fair. We tell ourselves, hurricanes are just bad luck. The drought will end. It's climate change, we caused it. But what happens when the disasters begin to feel targeted, too precise, too sudden, too intelligent? Something shifts inside us. Fear becomes paranoia. Doubt becomes panic. And no one can calm it, because deep down, we sense something is wrong. The signs that break people: a thunderstorm with no rain, a fire that moves against the wind, lightning that strikes in the same spot every hour. You see these things on the news. Then it happens in your city, and now it's real. You run, you scream, you pray. But the rain doesn't stop. The heat doesn't break. The hail keeps falling. The government says it's rare. But your instincts whisper, this isn't right. Living in uncertainty. Uncertainty is the true weapon. When a war is declared, people prepare. But when there's no declaration, no enemy to see, no battlefield to mark, you live in a kind of mental fog. You start to question, is that cloud normal? Is this summer hotter than last year? Why did 5 tornadoes touch down this week? You refresh the weather app, but it doesn't help, because you're not looking for a forecast. You're looking for reassurance, and it never comes. A hidden enemy. Imagine this. An advanced intelligence not human learns how to manipulate Earth's climate, but instead of striking openly, it conducts covert experiments, tiny adjustments, micro-disasters, enough to cause fear but not proof. They don't want to conquer. They want to observe. They want to see how we react. They're not bombing cities. They're stressing populations, testing our limits. Psychological warfare in the clouds. Military analysts know this well. Fear is a force multiplier. You don't need to destroy a city. You just need to make the people inside it feel helpless. Now imagine this tactic on a planetary scale. A thunderstorm strikes your town every day at the same hour. No one can explain it. There's no warning, no pattern, just chaos. What happens to society? You break routine. You stop trusting your neighbors. You stop planning for the future. You live in constant dread. And that, right there, is the point. Are we already experiencing war fatigue? Look around. Anxiety rates are exploding. Depression is at record highs. Suicides spike after extreme weather events. Entire towns are being abandoned not because of war but because of climate terror. People aren't just afraid of what's coming. They're afraid because no one can explain it. They don't feel safe. They don't feel seen. And worst of all, they feel like they're being watched. Because deep down, they suspect this isn't nature anymore. The war you can't fight. When a country is attacked, it defends itself. When people are attacked by weather, what do? You can't shoot a tornado. You can't bargain with lightning. You can't arrest a cloud. You just suffer. And that helplessness, that invisible oppression, is more effective than any bomb, because it breaks the spirit, not the body. Is this a test? Some researchers propose a chilling theory. This isn't an invasion. It's a simulation. Earth is being studied. Humans are being observed. Weather is the variable. Think like a scientist or a strategist. You don't need to destroy a planet. You just need to introduce chaos and see how the subjects respond. Do they organize? Do they riot? Do they collapse? Maybe what we call climate change is actually a calculated stress test. Ancient wars, repeating. Ancient myths talk about wars in the sky. The Vedas mention weapons that changed the weather. The Greeks blamed gods when lightning burned their crops. The Mayans believed the sky held serpents who could create storms. Were these just stories, or records of an earlier war, one we forgot? And now, perhaps, it's happening again. But this time, the weapons are disguised as clouds, as wind, as natural disasters. What this war looks like, this isn't a war with guns or soldiers. It's a war of attrition, a war of uncertainty, one where the battlefield, your street, your mind, your weather, and every time you hear thunder, you wonder, was that lightning or something else? You start seeing the storm not as weather, but as a message. And when the message is repeated enough, you break. Humanity's response, denial or awakening. Most people choose denial. They say, it's just El Niño. It's just a heat wave. Storms happen every year. But some are beginning to ask deeper questions. Why do storms follow specific patterns? Why do certain cities get hit again and again? Why do clouds sometimes move against wind currents? And the answers never come, because maybe there's no one left brave enough to give them. The cost of not knowing. Ignorance is comforting, but it comes with a cost. We stop preparing. We stop resisting. We lose hope, because when you don't know the source of your suffering, you don't know how to fight it. And that's the most dangerous war of all. A war where no one knows they're being attacked. Final question. Are you ready to see the sky differently? After everything you've read, every storm you've survived, ask yourself, what if this isn't chaos? What if it's strategy? What if we're living in the middle of a slow, invisible war, and the battlefield is above our heads? Would you still call it just weather? Or would you finally ask, who's really pulling the strings behind the clouds? Is the truth being buried in the clouds? Or are we not ready to know? What if we've been looking at the sky all wrong? What if those clouds weren't clouds at all? What if that thunder wasn't natural? That hailstorm wasn't an accident? That drought was designed? Would you believe it? Could you handle it? Or would your mind, like so many others, shut it out? Because sometimes the truth isn't just hidden. Sometimes we're not ready to see it. We've reached the end, or have we? 13 chapters, 13 connections, 13 storms you'll never look at the same way again. And yet, we're still left with more questions than answers. That's the thing about hidden truths. They don't vanish. They linger. In shadows, in whispers, in the spaces between thunderclaps. Let's review the evidence. Red skies over multiple continents. Military operations that played with the weather. UFOs spotted before earthquakes. Clouds moving like machines. Storms behaving with intelligence. Disasters that seem to target. Ancient myths warning us. Modern reports hiding from us. Technology we can't explain. And governments that refuse to speak. Coincidence or confirmation? Are we in denial or being denied? It's easy to say, the government is hiding the truth. But maybe, just maybe, we're hiding from it too. Because truth is dangerous. Truth demands change. And this truth, that we may be living under a sky controlled by someone or something else, that changes everything. What would happen if everyone knew? Really imagine it. Waking up one morning, turning on the news, Hearing these words, we have confirmed extraterrestrial involvement in Earth's climate systems. What would you do? Would you riot, panic, lose faith in everything? Or would you finally feel relief that what you suspected, what your instincts screamed, was real? Would that make you feel powerful or completely powerless? What if we're being prepared? What if the slow increase in climate chaos, the strange lights in the sky, the media silence, isn't to confuse us, but to condition us, to make us gradually accept things are no longer what they seem, a step-by-step process, an emotional acclimation, not to destroy us, but to ready us. For what? For a reveal, a shift, a world where humans are not the top of the chain. The truth may already be here. Some say the truth will be disclosed. But what if it already has? What if it's in the UAP reports, the pilot testimonies, the ancient carvings, the satellite images, the storms themselves? What if we've already been told, just not in the language we expect? Because maybe the truth isn't coming in a press release. Maybe it's coming in lightning. Some will never believe, and that's okay. Some people need the illusion. They need to believe the weather is natural, the sky is empty, the future is ours. But others, maybe you, are beginning to feel it in your gut, in your bones, in the air, that something's watching, that something's shifting, and no one's talking about it. Maybe the clouds are the cover. They're not just hiding UFOs, they're hiding our fears. Because once you see the sky as intelligent, the earth no longer feels like home. It feels like a testing ground, a stage, a simulation, or worse, a prison. And that thought, to many, can't handle it. Final hypothesis. This is the beginning. What if everything you've seen so far, the fires, the floods, the manipulation, is just phase one, the testing phase, to see how we respond, to see if we notice, to see if we break. And next, maybe the clouds part, and something steps through them, something that's been watching, waiting. We don't know what's coming, but it's coming. It may not be an invasion. It may not be a message. It may be a shift in power from humans to them. And when that happens, the real storm begins, not outside, but inside us. Because we'll finally have to ask, what are we? In a world no longer ruled by us. So we end with this. Maybe the truth is already here, buried in documents, encoded in myths, written in the clouds. But maybe we're just not ready, not brave enough, not willing enough to see. Maybe it's not that they're hiding the truth. Maybe we are.